In the last episode, I started by creating a layout for the fishing village portion of my starter base. I then built up this marketplace area that you see behind me, and had a fun time filling it with villagers. To start off this video, I think I want to do something I didn't get to last episode, and that's in this area here. As you can see, I have this retaining wall that arches over this little cliff, so I thought it'd be cool if we made a little dirt path that goes all the way up to it and then dug out a cave underneath it. And I think that will add a lot to this area, especially once we build up this building. It'll be like the end of an alleyway, so every time you look around this corner, it'll be the first thing you see. So I want it to look at least somewhat nice. So I guess I'll just start by digging it out a bit. And then I think I'll go down to an actual cave to find some stuff to decorate this area. And the first stop is the Lush Cave, or at least part of one, where I can grab some glowberries and some moss. Looks like there's also a geode right beside it, so I think I want to grab some materials from this and maybe set up a miniature one in my cave. It looks like it's raining on the surface right now, which makes the whole world a lot foggier, including underground apparently, which is creating some really cool views. I've got everything I need now, but I'm thinking I'll just build it quick off camera, because we're already going to be doing a lot more building later. And there we go. Still waiting for a few vines to grow, but other than that, this area is pretty much complete. Just like I said I was going to do when I was in the cave, I made this miniature geode over here. I then used black layered glass on this side to make it look like the cave goes on forever, or at least a little bit darker anyway. But with that done, I think it's time I start working on things I actually planned for this video. And the main thing I want to focus on today is building up this middle section here. To start off in this area, the first thing I need to do is build up all the platforms, but between the boat and the marketplace, I'm completely out of spruce wood. So just as I suspected last episode, I'm going to need to continue episode 2's deforestation. Well, that was a lot more wood chopping than I thought I'd do. Originally I wasn't going to mine down the rest of this forest, but after the first two areas there was just this one little section left, so I figured I might as well. And if you're wondering why there's still leaf blocks all over the ground, well, I just placed those down so I could get across all the powdered snow. But even with all those there, I still fell in like almost every 5 seconds, so I think next time I'll just clear it out with some water. But anyway, I ended up with 2 shulker boxes completely full of spruce logs, and then another 11.5 stacks on top of that. But with that collected, I think it's time we head back home. And now that I'm back and I actually have some wood, I can start to build up these platforms, starting with this one here. And this area is basically just going to be a continuation of the marketplace. Because right now I really only have 6 villagers. So if I can get maybe 4 or 5 more across this platform, then that should hopefully be enough for now. And then once I build my mega base, there'll be plenty of room for a proper villager setup, where I can get all of the villagers that I want. I'm also thinking that this platform is probably going to be the only one like the one I built over there. And by that I mean just barely sticking out of the water. And that's because, especially in this area, I'm thinking I want the platforms to be sticking out of the water by a few extra blocks. Or it might even be cool to layer a few of them on top of each other as well. And then some of the ones at the back will be holding up buildings, which I imagine will need a lot more support than something like this can offer. But anyway, I think it's time I stop talking about them and actually start building. Alright, I've got all the platforms built now, and I think the design I used for these stronger ones turned out pretty well. And they look like they can actually, hold up a building. One of the things I tried to do differently between the docks and the path is that because there's buildings in front of the pathway, I figured there'd be less waves going over top of it, which means it'd be weathered a little bit less. Although these platforms look finished from above, if you head underwater, you can start to see that I've barely done any of the supports, which is the next thing I need to work on. And to do that, I'm going to need to be using a lot of this wood that we mined earlier. I just finished putting the first 2 supports in, and I've already almost used an entire stack of logs. But this is fine. So, very fine. But on a more positive note, stripping wood is probably one of the most satisfying things you can do in Minecraft. Also, not really sure what's going on with the sky right now, but it looks like the forest is on fire. Anyway, I've got all the supports in place now, which means these platforms are actually strong enough to hold up some buildings. Not that it actually matters, because the laws of physics don't really exist in Minecraft. Or any laws, really. And with all that swimming around and almost drowning, I believe this one piece of cooked pork chop is all I have left. Yeah, I'm completely out. In between episodes 1 and 2, I went to the nether and killed a bunch of hoglins, which gave me probably about 2/3 of a shulker box full of cooked pork chop. But I go through food at an alarming rate, so I guess I need to do that again. And now that this box is completely full, I should have enough food to last me another 2 or 3 episodes probably. But with that taken care of, I can get back to building. And the next thing that I want to do is just add some coral and glow lake into these supports, just like I did over there. And I think that might be pretty interesting in the form of a time lapse. Nope, that's not even a little bit interesting to watch. But all that's placed in now, and I think it looks a lot better than just a sea of spruce wood. I feel like I've spent way too long just working on these platforms and docks, so I'd say it's about time we start putting up some buildings. Well, that ended up being quite a lot of building, actually. Obviously, I haven't done any of the detailing on all these new buildings, like adding the windows and doors and whatnot, similar to what I've done over here, but hopefully I'll get to that later today. Although all these buildings are unique in their own way, I was starting to feel like they were all looking a little similar, so I decided to put a windmill on the front of this one, which is definitely my new favorite building. I felt like white wool was a little bit too bright for the windmill, so after a few different attempts, I ended up using mushroom stem, which I got while I was harvesting this brown mushroom block. And I think that turned out pretty well. I've also got 4 more market stalls built up, which means I have room for 4 more villagers. Which I guess also means I have to get 4 more villagers, but that sounds like future me's problem. I've been doing quite a lot of building this episode so far, so I thought I'd take a quick break and go get myself a beacon. And to do that I need to go to the nether to get some wither skulls. Well, I guess it'd be faster to go straight to the fortress, where I can start to kill some wither skeletons. And for some reason I can't seem to find any. So far I've only found this skeleton that thinks it's a wither skeleton. Oh, there they are. Well, this seems like a great place to fight some wither skeletons. I kinda suck at the game. And we're back. Hopefully now I'll actually start to get some wither skulls. There's number 1, number 2, and 3, which is all I need to spawn the wither. I always just dig up close to the nether roof to spawn the wither, but I'm also kinda curious where the intended place to spawn it is, because I assume it'd be in the nether, but just out in the open is kind of a terrible place to fight it. But anyway, I guess it's time to spawn it. What could go wrong? I'd say the first half is the easy part, because all you need to do is just shoot it with your bow. But once you get its health halfway down, it becomes immune to arrows and starts to spawn wither skeletons, which makes things a little bit more difficult. Should just be a few more hits now. And we're done. That wasn't too bad. And now we can collect our prize. And the nether star is the key ingredient to make a beacon. But a beacon by itself is kinda useless. Well, except for building, but I'm not that rich. So to power it up, I'll probably use mostly iron blocks. And to do that, I think I want to go find a large iron vein. I'm yet to find a large ore vein, but at least I've got a little over a stack just from these small ones so far. After a bit more exploring, it looks like I found one now, so I think I'll just go ahead and mine the whole thing. I found one of these veins in episode 1, but it was a pretty small one. And now I also have fortune, which can give me a lot more iron as well. I just finished mining up that entire iron vein, and then a few more veins on top of that, and on the way home I stumbled across this. And I think it's the first time I've ever found one without using a map. I don't think I want to go inside of it right now, but I might come back in a future episode. Ever since they added raids to the game, there's not really anything too special you can get from it anyway. I just finished smelting down all the iron, so I'm ready to start building up the beacon. I don't really want to see the big pyramid, so I just dug this hole behind the village. So I guess I better start placing them. Now all that's left to do is just place the beacon. And if you're wondering why I needed a beacon, well, I don't. I kinda just wanted one. But I guess I might as well just put it on jump boost to help with building. And then whenever I'm not using it, I'll just place a block on top to block the beam. Before I get back to doing the detailing, I want to quickly put all 4 villagers in their market stalls. I won't spend too much time on this, because I already spent a bunch of time on it last episode. All I need to do is set up a railway between the villager breeder and the market stalls, and then just drop them in one by one. Now we'll just set up all the villagers' trades off camera and check back when that's done. Alright, that's all done now, and I ended up with 2 different librarians, one that will trade for infinity and the other looting 3. I also got a toolsmith that will eventually give me some diamond tools, and then a shepherd so I can easily get rid of some of my excess wool and get some emeralds in return. And if you're wondering if these villagers would be safe in their shops, well, I kinda designed them to keep zombies out by adding some trapdoors and whatnot, but there's a few of them like this one here where a zombie could easily hop up and step in. And then this guy's been killed twice by a trident drown, but I'm sure they'll be fine. But anyway, I think it's about time we start decorating and adding some of the detailing to the buildings. And with that done, I think the village is looking a whole lot better, and each of the buildings a lot more unique. I also built up this crane during the time-lapse, which as far as I can remember is actually the first crane I've ever built in Minecraft, so hopefully it doesn't look too bad. I didn't show this during the time-lapse, but I also put these ropes in between the buildings with lanterns hanging down from them, and I think this is a pretty interesting way to light up builds. You may have noticed that I've been using a lot of signs as decoration, and one of the main reasons I like that is because up close adds a nice little bit of detail, but then if you go far away, then the signs don't render anymore, keeping the view from afar much better, as the signs don't make the whole thing look cluttered. I'm also noticing that the boat looks really cool when looking through the village. And I'm glad that I can finally be building with barrels as well, because I think they look really nice in this area. You may have noticed that this dock is longer than the other 2, and that's because I want to add a little cupboard portion to the end of this one. Nothing too fancy, just something like this. I'm not really sure what the point of this is, but I thought it'd look cool, so I figured why not. But with that in place, I think that's going to be it for me today. So thanks for watching, and see you all in the next video.